I have to. Let me get.
This is Maryjane Martinez. You have something to prepare?
During the session, I was going to speak in her place, but I'm very loud.
That's fine. You can speak.
Yes.
I got some handouts. These are just some suggestions for you. I give you a gift to one of my poems and one of my art. That's the way of my people. And I want to greet you in my people's language, which means welcome. Thank you, my friends, for being here. And I do want to say thank you for taking the time to be here.
Juan.
And it's always. I know, we're both going to speak.
Yeah, I want to share my time.
And I just want to let you know that what I want to give, what I'm giving you there is a gift that I have it's our way to give something. And then behind that, there's several articles. Some of them are that you can get on the internet. The other one is an article that comes out of Rio Grande City. That's back in the early '60s, and how they depict my people. My people are the Carrizo Comecrudo tribe of Texas. We are original Texans. We are from Texas. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people think that the 3 federally recognized tribes in Texas are Texas, but they're from Texas, but they're not indigenous to Texas. The Alabama Coshada come out of Florida and Alabama. The Kickapoos, they come out of Wisconsin, and the Tiguas, of course, are Pueblo people from New Mexico. And where they are now was the Humano and my people, Carrizo people lived in that area. And if you want some reference to that, you can look up the Humanos, the South Plains Hunters and Traders by Nancy Hickerson. She's a professor at Tech, Texas Tech. And then there's another book also that makes reference to a lot of this. It was written, and you know what? It went out of publication because nobody really cared to look at it. It's called The Indians of the Rio Grande Delta. And it was written by Martin Salinas, and he was a teacher at University of Texas Pan American. And he's retired now, but the book is still out there. You'll have to look it up. The information I give you, one of them is one of an archive from the Texas Railroad Commission on Manuel Cavazos, who is my great-great-grandfather. And my great-great-great-grandfather was Chief Natve. And in that one, it tells you how he kept telling people he was Carrizo, and the captain there tells you that he's a Mexican. So in 1940, my grandfather moved away from the Rio Grande Valley and moved up north. And I grew up, and I was born in Dimmitt, Texas, in North Texas. And I graduated from Tech. So one of the reasons he moved over there is so that we would not be so Mexicanized. And nothing wrong being Mexican, but you know, he wanted us to maintain our language and to be able to, our language, as a matter of fact, which we thought for a long time was going to be, we were the last speakers, me and my cousins, was recorded in 1886 by A.S. Gatchett, and it's the Smithsonian. And you can find this information is nowhere in Texas history. They don't talk about the Carrizo Comecrudo. They don't talk about they do, they say that we're Cuahuilttecan speakers, and we don't speak Cuahuilttecan. We speak the same language as the Pomos and the Pimas in Arizona and California. So we're Hocoan speakers. We're not Cuahuilttecos. And so we live right in the middle of the peyote grounds. There's one reason that people.
And I just want to also thank you. This is very thoughtful, so I do appreciate the gift.
And you're Maryjane?
Yes, I'm Maryjane Martinez. And I wanted to just correct something about Mexicans are native. They're Nahuatl and Nahuatl.
That's our language, is Nahuatl.
Nahuatl.
Not Spanish.
Is this mic on or?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Where's that guy? Oh, that's yours.
First of all, commend your spirit for showing respect for everyone that showed up by staying here and still listening. I know that this is not in an official capacity. That's why there's no quorum. But I wish to commend and applaud your spirit as human beings in showing respect for fellow human beings. If that was done since the arrival of Europeans, we Native Americans would not be in the situation which we are in today, which is mainly looked at as a bunch of savages that supposedly we invaded and burned down homes of people that already live there. At least that's what the history books say. And that is not true. So my interest in coming over here today was in asking this board to please put down the truth. Stop glossing over the actual facts of a takeover of a people and their land, of genocide. If the Holocaust existed in the 30s and 40s, it existed here starting since the 15th century. And it's just glossed over. And to say that there'll be no mention in the Texas history book only after the Spanish conquest, that is not education. Again, that is not even glossing over anymore. That is just simply omitting history. My name is Antonio Diaz. I am Pamaque. Most of my people are buried in the missions of San Antonio, as they were enslaved and forced into labor in constructing those missions by Christian Catholic missionaries. And today, those are tourist attractions. They have cemeteries attached to them where my people lay. Cemeteries have been desecrated since the 1960s. Universities that still hold remains of Native Americans. Museums that still hold remains of Native Americans. When we are finally looked on as fellow human beings, regardless of our religion or culture, instead of that manifest destiny or the discovery doctrine of the Pope should be followed, and we not be treated as human beings because we had no soul, or because this was a chosen land of the Christians according to God and manifest destiny. If this is taught in schools, then it should be taught that we already had religion and culture. We already were civilized. We were not savages. One writer wrote, to interview Native Americans in reservations would be akin to trying to interview Holocaust victims in concentration camps. You're not seeing us in our splendor and our best. We've been displaced. We are an internally displaced people on our own land. I wrote something. I attended public schools in San Antonio, Texas. During middle school, I began to question the social studies teachers about American history. My questions were that if George Washington was my founding father, why did I not look like him? Yes, it is sarcasm. The teachers I had, while patient, let me know that they had a curriculum to abide by. The curriculum was all that mattered, whether it was true, factual, or not. Whether true or factual was not important. The facts that the founding fathers were responsible for driving indigenous people from their homelands was covered under manifest destiny. And again, the teacher simply said, once you understand it, you won't like it. So stop asking questions. They were right. I don't like it. And I don't like their explanation that God led the European invasion. As to how Mexicans became Hispanic, well, that was the exploiter Columbus and his financier, the King of Spain. So Columbus plants a Spanish flag on the Americas and claims ownership of land and indigenous people. Mexicans did not come from across the ocean with the Spaniards. Mexicans or indigenous people to the Americas. Yes, Mexicans and all indigenous people were made war on, enslaved, deported, and forced to assimilate to nationalities imposed on us by colonial invaders. Our heroes that fought against the invasion, displacement, and occupation are not portrayed as heroes, but rather as savages. Today, our indigenous identity is denied us unless the government that occupy our lands grants it to us. Modern-day heroes such as Emma Tenayuca or Cesar Chavez that work within this system to better the lives of all people are not to be in the teaching curriculum. When then will we have heroes that look like us in Texas? History school books. When? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.